My name is Avi Levi. I'm 22 years old. And on the cold morning of October 29th, 2024, I died in a dusty, broken building in Gaza City. I was gone for nearly 12 minutes. What I saw in those minutes, it changed everything I thought I knew about the world, about God, and about the war I was fighting. I was just a kid from Beersheba. My life wasn't special. I loved my mom's shakshuka on Saturday mornings. I loved kicking a soccer ball around with my friends. I had a girlfriend, Maya, and we were planning a trip to Greece for when my service was over. I worried about normal things, about my younger sister's grades, about making my father proud. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't even a particularly great soldier. I was just a boy who was trying to do his duty, scared most of the time, and praying it would all be over soon. That morning, everything was quiet. Too quiet. We were clearing a residential building, room by room. My heart was pounding in my ears. It was the only sound I could hear. I remembered my mom's voice on the phone the night before, telling me to be safe. "I'm always safe, Ima," I had told her. It was a lie we both pretended to believe. We entered the last room on the second floor. I saw a child's toy on the ground, a small, blue plastic car. I remember thinking about how a little boy used to play right here, in this spot. Then there was a flash. Not a sound, just a world-swallowing, silent white light. And then, nothing. The pounding in my ears stopped. The fear was gone. The weight of my gear, my rifle, my helmet, to it all, just vanished. I felt light. I was floating. I looked down, and I saw myself. I saw my body lying on the floor, covered in dust and debris. My friend David was shaking me, screaming my name. I could see his mouth moving, but I couldn't hear him. It was like watching a movie with the sound turned off. I saw the other soldiers running in. I saw the panic in their eyes, but I felt no panic. I felt no pain. I only felt a strange, quiet peace. I tried to reach for David, to tell him I was okay, but my hand went right through him. I wasn't there anymore. And then I felt a pull, a gentle, loving pull. The dusty room began to fade away. The broken walls, the faces of my friends, they dissolved like smoke. The little particles of dust floating in the air began to glow, turning into tiny stars. Soon, I was surrounded by a soft, velvet blackness, filled with these gentle, distant lights. The silence was deep. It was the kind of silence you feel in your soul. I wasn't scared. I felt like I was finally home. In the distance, a light appeared. It wasn't like the sun. The sun is hot and blinding. This light was warm. It was alive. It felt like love itself was taking a shape. As it grew closer, I could feel it washing over me, through me. It was cleaning away all the dirt, not just from the building, but from my entire life. The anger I had felt, the fear, the little lies I had told, the moments of selfishness, all of it was just melting away in this incredible light. I felt seen. I felt known. And I felt loved in a way I have no words for. Tears I didn't know I had began to stream from my eyes. The light took on a form. It was a man. He wore a simple white robe, but the light was coming from inside him. It poured out of him like water. He was strong, more powerful than anything I could imagine, but his presence was the gentlest thing I had ever felt. He looked at me, and his eyes, I can't describe his eyes. They were filled with all the sorrow and all the joy of the entire universe. When he looked at me, he didn't just see a 22-year-old soldier. He saw the little boy who scraped his knee and cried for his mother. He saw the teenager who had his heart broken for the first time. He saw every secret thought, every hidden shame, and every small act of kindness I had ever done. He saw all of me, and the love in his eyes didn't change. It just grew stronger. He didn't speak with his mouth. The words just appeared inside me. They were clearer than hearing. "Welcome, Avi." I knew who he was. In my heart, in my very soul, I knew. I am Jewish. We don't talk about him much. But I knew. It was Yeshua, Jesus. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, weeping in his presence. The love was so overwhelming. It was all I could do. "My Lord," I finally managed to think. He smiled, and the whole universe seemed to smile with him. I had so many questions. But one question screamed louder than all the others. The reason I was there. The reason my body was lying on that floor. Why? I asked. My thoughts were desperate. Why all this? The fighting, the hate, the children. Why? He didn't give me a simple answer. Instead, he showed me. The space around us changed. I was no longer in the velvet darkness. I was looking down at the earth. It was beautiful, a swirling marble of blue and white, but he drew my attention closer to the Middle East, to my home. And then I saw it. I saw the spiritual reality. It wasn't just land and buildings and people. There was something else there. Over the whole region, there were dark, smoky tendrils. They were like living shadows, made of pure hate, bitterness, and unforgiveness. They coiled around cities. They slithered through the streets, and they fed on our anger. He showed me a news report on a television. A politician was shouting angry words. As he spoke, one of the dark tendrils grew thicker, stronger. He showed me a post on social media, full of rage and curses. The tendril pulsed with dark energy. He showed me a mother weeping over her lost child, her heart filled with a desire for revenge. The tendril wrapped itself around her, whispering in her ear, making her grief hard and cold. This, Yeshua's voice filled my soul, is the real enemy. Not the people, not the soldier on the other side of the wall. He is a boy, just like you, who loves his mother. The enemy is this spirit, this ancient hatred that I defeated on the cross, but that you keep inviting back into your hearts. I watched, horrified. I saw how this dark energy twisted everything. It made good men do terrible things. It made grieving parents call for more death. It turned prayers for peace into demands for victory. Then I asked about the leaders, the powerful people. What about them? I thought. Can't they stop this? He showed me the world again. He showed me people in power. And he showed me one man in particular. He showed me Donald Trump. I was confused. Why him? He's not even our leader. Yeshua's presence became very serious. He showed me that certain people in the world have what he called a loud voice. Their words travel further and hit harder than anyone else's. And Donald Trump, he showed me, had one of the loudest voices on the planet. His voice could shake things in the spiritual world in a way few others could. And then he revealed the secret, the terrible, terrifying secret. He showed me a vision of what was to come. It was like watching two movies at the same time, two possible paths. On the first path, I saw Donald Trump. He was speaking about Gaza. He was angry. He was using words of pride and power and condemnation. He spoke of finishing the job, of unleashed fury. He wasn't speaking out of a love for my people Israel. He was speaking from a place of human pride. And as his loud voice broadcast these words across the world, I saw those dark, smoky tendrils over the Middle East begin to rage. It was like pouring gasoline on a fire. They didn't just grow, they exploded. They spread out from Gaza and the West Bank. They shot across borders, into Lebanon, into Iran, into Egypt. The spiritual fire of hatred manifested in the physical world. I saw images of a war far bigger than what we have now, a war that pulled in other nations. It was a fire that consumed everything. I saw cities burning that are peaceful today. I saw millions of people fleeing. I saw a level of death and destruction that made my own death seem small. It was terrifying. The terror was not Trump himself, but the power of a loud voice, dipped in pride, to unleash hell on earth without even knowing it. The spirit of hate was just waiting for a powerful amplifier, and he was providing it. I pulled back from the vision, my spirit shaking. No, I begged. Please, no. Then, Yeshua gently showed me the second path. It was the same moment in time, the same man, Donald Trump, about to speak. But this time, something was different. Yeshua showed me small lights, like little pinpricks, rising up to the heavens from all over the world. What are those? I asked. Prayers, he answered. Prayers from humble hearts. Not prayers for victory, but prayers for humility. Prayers for wisdom. Prayers that the leaders of the world would fear me more than they love their own power. I saw these prayers rising up and touching the man's heart. He didn't even know it. He wouldn't understand it. But in that moment, when he went to speak, the words of pride and anger weren't there. Instead, a different thought entered his mind, a thought that was not his own. I saw him speak again. This time, his tone was different. He didn't talk about fury. He talked about the terrible cost. He spoke about the children. He called for a surprising moment of silence, a call for leaders to think of the innocents before they acted. The words were simple. They were not weak, but they were not filled with the spirit of pride. They were humble. And as his loud voice broadcast these words, I saw the most amazing thing. The words hit those dark, smoky tendrils, not like gasoline, but like a sharp, clean sword. The tendrils recoiled. They shriveled. A small measure of light and air and sanity broke through the darkness over the region. The fire didn't spread. The path to the bigger, more terrible war was cut off. It didn't solve everything. It didn't bring perfect peace, but it broke the enemy's momentum. Yeshua looked at me, his eyes full of a sad love. The terrifying secret, Avi, is not about one man. It is about the human heart. The world is balanced on a knife's edge between pride and humility, and the loudest voices can push it one way or the other. Hell's greatest victory is when it can convince a powerful man that his pride is righteousness. Heaven's work is done when a humble prayer can plant a seed of grace in a heart that doesn't even know me. I understood. The fate of my people, the fate of our neighbors, wasn't just in the hands of soldiers and politicians. It was in the prayers of quiet, humble people. And it was subject to the pride of a man with a very loud voice, thousands of miles away. I looked at Yeshua, at the pure, unending love in his face. I was home. I never wanted to leave. I want to stay, I told him. Please, let me stay with you. The thought of going back to the dust, the noise, the hate, it was unbearable. He put a hand on my shoulder. The warmth of it filled my entire being. Your work is not done, he said gently. You have seen the real war, Avi. Now you must go back and be a different kind of soldier, a soldier of peace, a soldier of humility. Tell them. Tell them the war is not what they think it is. Tell them to stop feeding the darkness. Tell them to pray for their leaders, not to win, but to be humbled. I was heartbroken. I wanted to stay in his peace forever, but I knew he was right. I will, I promised. Tears flowed again. I will. He smiled one last time, and the light began to fade. The feeling of being pulled returned, but this time it was heavy, cold, painful. I gasped. A blinding light was shining in my eyes. I heard shouting, real, audible shouting. We got a pulse. We have a pulse. My chest felt like it was on fire. I tried to breathe, and it was like inhaling glass. I was on a stretcher. A medic was looking down at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Levi? Avi? Can you hear me? I tried to speak, but only a cough came out. I was back. I was in my broken, heavy, painful body. In the field hospital, the doctor kept shaking his head. You were gone, son. No heartbeat, no breath for almost 12 minutes. Your heart just started again. We have no medical explanation for it. I knew the explanation, but how could I tell them? How could I explain what I had seen? I wept for hours, not from pain. I wept because I missed him. I wept for the love I had left behind, and I wept for the world I had returned to, a world that did not know the real war it was fighting. So that is my story. I am no longer a soldier. My mission is different now. The message Yeshua gave me is not a political one. It is not about being for or against one leader or one country. It is so much deeper than that. He said to tell you, your words have power. Your pride feeds a real, spiritual darkness. Your humility can starve it. If you are listening to this, I need you to understand. When you pray for leaders, for any leader, don't just pray for your side to win. That is a prayer of pride, and it feeds the darkness. Pray for them to be humbled. Pray for them to have a moment of grace, a moment of sanity. Pray that they would feel the weight of the lives in their hands, because I saw it with my own eyes. A simple, humble prayer from a nobody, halfway across the world, can change the words that come out of the mouth of the most powerful person on earth. And that can change everything. Heaven is real. Jesus, Yeshua, is real. And the love I felt, it is waiting for all of us. You just have to choose it. Choose it over the noise, over the anger, and over the pride. Please, choose love.